For those of you who don't want to watch a full video, here's a quick guide from Lord Garbelius off of Reddit. Drop down in the description and give him your support. I have a link to his Patreon down below. Thank you, Lord Garbelius, for this guide. What's up, everybody? Soul here with another sort of Convallaria video, and today we will be looking at OG Rawiyah, the original, the character that everybody should have, and she is phenomenal. So we're going to take a look at her kit, what she can do, and how she can improve your gameplay. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. First things first is her trait, which is bottoms up, increases Rawiyah's damage by 25% at the start of the turn or during a strike back. There's a 70% chance to recover 40% of her lost HP and gain tipsy. This effect can be triggered up to 1 time per round. This tipsy is a buff. It increases your crit by 30% and decreases damage taken by 10%. This ability can be stacked. It's really important there. With that said, as you can see at rank 1, it starts with a damage increase of 8% and a 50% chance to trigger that tipsy, and she only will recover 30% of her lost HP. However, down here at 5 stars, she gets damage increase up to 25%, and at the start of turn and during strikebacks, there's an 80% chance to recover 40% HP and gain tipsy, and it can be triggered 2 times per round. So it's really, really good. And the fact that that tipsy trait can be stacked is also really, really good. Now, if you look at the different levels, at 2 stars, her damage goes up to 12%, and the chance goes up to 60%. And then at 3 stars, it's 16% damage, and then 70% chance to trigger a 40% HP buff. But at 4 stars, it's 25% damage, which is the max. And then there's a 70% chance to trigger 40% HP recovery with that tipsy, but it only can be triggered 1 time. Now, if you want to stop at 4 stars, there's nothing wrong with that. However, Rawiyah obviously benefits tremendously from going all the way up to 5 stars. All characters benefit from going to 5 stars, but her in particular, she really benefits from it because of that tipsy effect being able to trigger multiple times. However, 4 stars is a healthy stopping point if you don't want to keep investing and farming for this character. It's up to you. You're fine to stop at 4 stars. 5 stars really is good for her. With that said, let's hop right into the ranks. Now, I got my account at launch, so I want you to know I did not understand or realize that Castalia were as rare as they are. With that said, let's look at these abilities. Now, right here at rank 1, on the left, you have co-attack. It's passive, and for each ally within 2 tiles, the character attack increases by 5% up to 15%. So this is probably the better choice of the two. I didn't choose this. However, this is a phenomenal choice. Over here on the right is what I chose, which is also a good trait. And in my opinion, neither one of these really are too great, and you're not going to run either one of these often. But you have toughness. This is a passive. It gains immunity to the effect of injured and or dying. And so that's what you get at rank 1. What you choose is up to you. I chose what was on the right. The left arguably could be better and have more utility. It just depends on you. At rank 3, on the left, you have Piercing Bash. This is a physical damage single target attack that does 130% damage. Before attacking, the character gains armor piercing, which allows them to ignore 40% of the target's defense. Pretty daggone good. However, I chose what's on the right. Right here is another pint. It's an instant where we cover 60% HP and gains tipsy for 2 turns. And remember, this effect can stack. And so that's really important to get those tipsy stacks going and get them in. And so this ability right here is a must grab, in my opinion, at rank 3. At rank 5, what you have on the right is Guardian's Heart. It's a reaction. It takes physical attack for all other allies within 1 tile of the character and performs a strike back on the attacker, dealing 70% physical damage and knocking them back 1 tile. This effect can be triggered 1 time per round. I wanted to test this. I got it. I'm not overly impressed with this ability. It's rather niche, and I didn't realize, like I said, that Castalia are as rare as they are. I wouldn't necessarily suggest you get this. However, on the left is Screw Off. It's a reaction. When Rawiyah is hit by an active attack, she performs a strike back, dealing 70% physical damage to the enemy. When she has tipsy, she knocks the enemy back 2 tiles. This effect can be triggered 1 time per round. In my opinion, this is what you want. This is what you're better off going for. I've found a lot more utility in this ability. Being able to knock them back consistently and not trying to rely on others and their placement is important, in my opinion. And so this is what I'd prefer. This is what I'd suggest you get at rank 5. At rank 7, you have Mania Smash, and so this is physical damage, single target attack. It deals 120% damage. After attacking, you gain 40% life steal. And so I got this ability thinking that it'd be pretty decent and pretty good. However, I was a little disappointed in it. I wouldn't suggest you picking it up. I would suggest you picking up on the right her leader aura, which is Sword of Convallaria. For all Sword of Convallaria allies in battle, it increases the attack by 10%, defense by 20%, and damage dealt by 8%, and decreases their damage taken by 8%. This is phenomenal. This is a fantastic aura, and it's unique in that you're not going to get it from anyone else, obviously. However, this is a huge must, in my opinion. So ignore on rank 7 Mania Smash and make sure you get that Sword of Convallaria aura. Now at rank 9, you have on the left Fatal Attack. It deals 100% physical damage, increases your crit damage by 15%. If that's what you prefer, go for it by all means. However, on the right is what I'd suggest, which is Dispelling Strike. It deals 100% physical damage and dispels 2 buffs from the target. Now, I still don't really use this ability often, but it's a niche. Its niche use still has uses, and there will be certain situations where you might want to remove debuffs from your opponent in certain boss fights, things like that, and that's where this comes in. Neither one of these are consequential, so just get what you prefer. Her starting basic attack is better in my opinion. Over here at rank 11, you have 2 choices. You have Legacy of the Comrades. It's passive. When the ally is in battle, when an ally in battle is defeated, you recover 30% HP for the character, and the character gains attack up, defense up, and magic defense up 2 for 3 turns. That's passable. I don't think it's nearly as good as what she has on the left, which is Gale Spin Attack. This is physical damage. Rawiyah deals 50% AoE damage to all enemies within 2 tiles around her. After dealing damage, she inflicts physical defense 2 down on the target for 2 turns. Subsequent attacks deal an additional 50% AoE damage. It's a really good ability. I've used this to just clear whole crowds out, especially with the ability she picks up from SP Rawiyah. And so this is what I would suggest you to get at rank 11 right here on the left. Let's go ahead and take a look at that ability. From SP Rawiyah, we receive the passive. It's called Void Slash. Let's take a look at it right here, actually. There it is, Void Slash. And so this is a passive. After actively dealing physical damage, he deals 15% physical damage to all enemies within 2 tiles of the character, inflicting 1 random level 2 debuff for 2 turns. This can be triggered 3 times per round. This is a really good ability. If you're going in with AoE Wave Clear mode set on OG Rawiyah, you're going to put this on to supplement her ability, supplement her Gale Spin, and she's just going to go to town. She's going to keep hitting and swinging and hitting everything around her multiple times. It's really, really fun. Really, really cool. With that said, her starting basic attack is Gash. This is what I suggest you to use. This is what I prefer. It's a single target attack, does 85% physical damage, and knocks the target back by 2 tiles. Now, if your opponents are immune to knockback, then by all means, switch it off and move on. However, if they're not, or if you're in maps where that knockback can be pivotal, as most people know, knocking people off of the world or the stage and killing them instantly is tremendous and huge. This is phenomenal for that reason. You have Rawiyah's starting ability that she gets at the word go, which is phenomenal within itself, and that is Gale Breach. It is physical damage, instant. Rawiyah charges at one enemy within a cross-shaped range around her, dealing 30% physical damage. It basically acts as an instant skill. It is an instant, yeah, bah. Afterwards, the skill switches to Tropical Cyclone for 2 turns. When she has Tipsy, she inflicts no reaction skills on the target after the attack. This effect lasts for 2 turns. And so Tropical Cyclone launches a single target attack and does 140% damage. Increases damage by 10% for each debuff on the target, up to 50%. Really, really good. So potentially she can do 190% damage if they have enough debuffs on the target. Really, really good ability, in my opinion. With that all said, let's have a look at her weapons. Now for me, I think her weapons really just depend on the situation and what you have going on. And so one weapon that I'm going to absolutely suggest is Brutal Axe. This increases your HP by 10% when attacking If the enemy's HP percentage is higher than the character's, it ignores 40% of the target's defense. So there often is times where Rawiyah is targeted, she gets hit hard. She is pretty bulky. However, she's going to be dropping HP and taking those knocks. And so there's going to be times where she has lower HP than her opponents, and she's going to be doing extra damage. And that's really, really good in my opinion. Another great item for her is going to be that Gale Sword. It is a phenomenal item. And so this one is fantastic. It increases your physical attack by 2%. After attacking, the character's crit damage is increased by 9%. This lasts until the end of the turn. And so this is a fantastic item for the AoE setup on Rawiyah. When she goes in and she hits with her AoE ability, and then she's proccing those additional hits, this weapon is going to kind of go insane, and this is going to do a lot of extra crit damage with those critical strikes from those AoE attacks. It's really, really good. It also synergizes pretty well with her ability Gale Breach, because you're going to hit once already just to proc the Gale Sword. Secondary effect, and so your second hit will absolutely benefit from that. Really good weapon for her, in my opinion. Another really good item or weapon, and easily considered her best in slot by most people, is Feast Axe. And so if the target's HP percentage is lower than the character's when attacking, it increases attack by 15%. When the character recovers 20% HP when defeating the target, and it has a 2-turn cooldown. So a lot of people really like this. I think this in particular is good for low level encounters where you're able to kill lots of enemies, and especially quickly. And so I don't think that this necessarily is good for in-game or those really tough, strong encounters where you're fighting those enemies, because that 20% HP really doesn't really amount to a lot, and the amount of times you're proccing this is insignificant. And I think you'll be better off using the Brutal Axe in those situations. And then, of course, dead last as another option for me is the Tuning Hammer. This is a straight increase to physical attack, and it dispels 2 buffs from the target when attacking. Nothing wrong with that. It's a solid weapon, but I think it's the least critical weapon out of all of them. Moving on to Trinkets, for me, her best in slot all day, every day is Evergreen Pendant. This is a character that self-heals and will often be receiving heals because of her placement in the front line and how much damage she takes. And so this character is going to consistently get those buffs from his pendant and will be a chonker once fully buffed. And so this is going to be consistent. She's going to reapply constantly every time she takes a drink, every time she has a reaction, every time she starts, she gets that tipsy. You're getting that buff off of that. Really, really good. Of course, another item that a lot of people would suggest and is a decent item on her is Flying Blade Arm Guard. This is really good, especially if you want to proc that Gale Sword. This is another way to do it, to get that additional effect. Nothing wrong with this. It's a solid, instant, free 12% damage or so, and so this is a decent item for her to use as well. And then I'd say the last thing that I could suggest for her is the Crystal Burst Armor. You want her in the front, you want her having more HP, and you want her to strike back, because that strike back strong, she does good damage, and it also can trigger that tipsy, so you do want this. This is a good item to put on her, and she will benefit from it for sure, that 15% boost to strike back damage. But once again, I have to stress, I think her best in slot is absolutely the Evergreen Pendant. As for Resonance, I think her absolute best resonance is the Sword and Cup for that extra damage and lifesteal to proc that Evergreen Pendant, and just to give her that sustain. I think it's irrefutable and is at her outright best resonance. Now let's take a look at Terror Whispers. For Terror Whispers, we got Fool's Naivete. I think this is a fantastic option for those stages where enemies aren't necessarily strong, but there are many of them. This includes your events, maybe even PvP, things like that, where you can scale HP higher with Rawiyah. And so HP is increased by 10% when initiating an active attack. If the character's max HP is greater than the target's, damage does increase by 10%. With the hidden effect unlocked, that is double the effect. So we're talking about 20% HP period dot, and then 20% physical damage, or damage, dealt increased. So that's really, really good. and strong in those scenarios where you can fight multiple enemies that aren't ridiculously strong, so you're not really using this in endgame, and then even has a utility in PvP. Now, let's say you want to take Rawiyah in and do a tremendous amount of AoE damage. Well, then Dream of the Magician is your choice, and so this is increases your damage by 8%. When casting a skill, each additional enemy hit increases that damage by 4, up to 12% damage, and of course that is a doubled effect with the hidden effect. So 16% damage increase with each additional target hit, making it 8 to 24% damage boosted. So this is obviously the best in-slot option for her AoE build. And then of course if you're going in, you're focused on single target attacks, which is what her starting abilities are and her basic attacks. There's nothing wrong with that. There are situations where you prefer to do that. You want her to do really big hits all at once. And I would think Hierophant's Law is a fantastic choice for that. I haven't seen that heal has any effect with the hidden effect right here. Well, let me just read it to you. AoE damage is decreased by 20%, and when initiating a single target attack, damage dealt is increased by 20%. When initiating a single target healing, the healing amount is increased by 20%. And so you're getting that 20% damage buff on single target attacks. However, I have not seen that 20% healing affects her drinking from, and getting that tipsy effect. So, but that 20% increase to damage does have an effect, and it's a phenomenal choice for that reason. And then I think, of course, another solid, well-rounded item to put on her that it could be general use. A lot of people love devils and so on and so forth, but that's not what I'm gunning for. What I am gunning for is right here, and that is the Verdict of Justice. I think you want to increase her crit rate, and then that crit damage. It's a part of her build anyways. It's one of her stats she's rolling, with that tipsy effect and so on and so forth. So you want to absolutely optimize those crits and crit hits, and I think this is the way to go and do so. So yeah, really, really good stuff there with Rawiyah. As you can see, she has some versatility in her kit and how she can be played. She can go in and she has an aura, she can buff her team and then focus on single target attacks. That's how she's kind of set up right now. However, you can also go through and set her up to do AoE damage. And let's say you team her up with someone like Dandelion and so on and so forth. And then boom, now she's an AoE monster. And then you're going to want to switch this over to the Magician. And then you'll be set to go to do some monster AoE damage in those scenarios and situations. And so yeah, I have a couple videos on that. I'll link it right here. There's a team comp where I have her going in and doing AoE damage in my Irene Assault video. That team comp, make sure you go check it out. Without any further ado, I'll show you another battle where she kind of pops off, but as a single target hitter and with her aura activated. And let's get into that now. So here we go. This is our tower battle 9-5 this week. And so Rawiyah's going to come in. We've got a full sort of Convallaria team built around her, so we benefit from that aura. We're just going to start clearing enemies out. There's that strike back. She's taking a lot of damage there, but we don't mind that. She's pretty bulky. She can survive and handle it. A little smack there, finish him off. Simple and sweet. That knockback effect on ice that goes sliding back even further. I love it. Now it comes up and gets some good heals off. Get everybody top back off again. We're just more or less waiting for the enemy to approach us. They're kind of bottlenecked there, so it's to our benefit. We just wait for them to come to us. Even if we sacrifice the high ground a little bit. Go ahead and get that tipsy effect rolling. Cole comes over. Cole's a part of this team because his Alacrity aura really benefits Rawiyah. She's going to get those crit buffs from him, which I'll show you actually right now. Let's take a look at that. So as you can see, we got our buffs coming in off our Evergreen Pendant, which is fantastic. And we got right here with Tipsy, we got our 30% crit buff, and then that 10% damage reduced right there with that one stack. However, if you look down here, we do get the Aura Perfect Assassin with that crit damage by 15%, and then crit up by 15%. Really, really good stuff on her. Couldn't figure out how to unclick that for a minute there. Silly. Alright, Magnus comes up and smacks. We don't mind. Big smash. We knock him back into the opponent behind him. Kill him. Stormbreaker comes up and starts doing a little bit of damage. Cole finishes him off. We teleported Fake out there because they can't get to him, and he's going to get that high ground. Fantastic place for him to be. Good little bit of heal there from Nana. We don't mind losing our Princess's Guard. He's a free unit anyways, and it's inconsequential. There's our Tipsy, Warhorn with the max damage. We're really not doing a lot of damage. He's very resistant. We're still going to do as best we can. Magnus is kind of bonkers strong in this fight. Look at that knockback effect on ice. We send him flying back. Now he can't really do anything to us, because that guy right there is going to hit really hard. But now we're not worried about him. He's set back for a couple turns. Even more Tipsy effect stacking up. Coming in here, basic attack for almost 6,000. Really good. Cole's going to smack her up a little bit. We're reducing that damage taken because of that stacked Tipsy effect, so we don't mind taking that hit from Magnus. Fake House just sitting there, stacking up debuffs on Magnus. Now let's not forget, that's really important. Look at all these debuffs right here. That's phenomenal. We got 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm sorry, 8 right here. 9 debuffs on him. So now when Rawiyah goes in and she's going to use her single target hit here Tropical Cyclone, it's going to do additional damage up to 50% based on each debuff. We're hitting that threshold because he's there. So here it comes. He's just inching closer. That ice has really messed him up. That knockback sent him way out of the fight. However, we're just going to knock him off the stage and be done with it. Thanks, Magda. And big smack there, 3,000 damage. Nothing wrong with that. We're prepping up for the next turn. We're going to really go crazy. Cole gets a big hit right there. Unfortunately, Nana is sacrificed right there. It's unlucky, but it is still okay. More debuffs. We'll go ahead and pop this off to kill Butterfly. We survive this hit, all those debuffs. Teleport her behind him. Get ready for the big hit. Sure, they didn't come off as that big, but he's really strong this round. And there you have it. OG Rawiyah. Phenomenal unit. A lot of fun. Everybody gets her. Everybody has access to her. And she's incredibly strong. So I would highly suggest you to use her if you're interested. This game is important. You play who you want to play. However, just because you get her for free doesn't mean she's not good. This unit has a lot of utility. You just saw a tough fight right there with that Tower 9-5 where the enemy is relatively strong, and you could see how she still was capable of doing it even as a free unit, getting you through it and helping out. Right here you can see her attack power is 3,400. It's pretty decent for an attack power. She's a pretty strong unit. Don't sleep on her. So there it is. That's my OG Rawiyah guide. I hope you enjoy it. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Drop down there. Let me know. If you drop me a like and a subscribe, it really helps me out. Huge thank you to my Patreon members. You really make this all possible, and you really allow us to pursue all the characters and to create all these guides and content for everybody else. So thank you so much. Make sure you drop down the Discord channel. It's in the description. Join us. Let's talk about the game. Join our community. Let's keep growing and going together. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one and take it easy. Bye.